Dorothy worked for the city school district for 31 years, retired in 2021, started getting her Social Security check, and for 2 years she assumed the number on the deposit was correct. It wasn't. Because Dorothy worked for a government employer that didn't withhold Social Security taxes, her benefit had been reduced for decades by something called the windfall elimination provision. When that provision was eliminated in early 2025, she was owed a retroactive payment, money that had already been calculated by the SSA and was sitting in a processing queue with her name on it. But it never arrived because no one told her there was a verification step she needed to complete first. By the time she found out, 8 months had passed. If you were born in the 1940s, 1950s, or 1960s, this video is directly about you. Because July 2026 just changed the rules for all 3 groups, and the actions you need to take are different depending on your birth decade. I'm going to walk through each group separately. Stay for the section on people born in the 1960s in particular. That group is facing a deadline where doing nothing produces a permanent, irreversible result. Once that window closes, it doesn't reopen. By the end of this video, you'll have a specific action for your birth decade and a phone number you can call today. SSA regulations are changing faster in 2026 than at any point in the last 2 decades. When something changes, the agency mails a standardized letter to whatever address they have on file and moves on. No follow-up call. No plain language explanation. If you're subscribed here, you get the breakdown while there's still time to act. If you were born in the 1940s, you've been receiving Social Security for somewhere between 7 and 20 plus years. Here's what most people in this group don't know. The SSA launched a new internal review protocol in July 2026, specifically targeting accounts from this generation. The agency identified a category of historical calculation errors, earnings record discrepancies that go back to when many of you originally filed in the late 1990s or early 2000s, and built a process to flag and correct them. When your account is flagged and a discrepancy is found, the SSA generates a written correction notice and mails it to the address on file. Here's the problem. If you've moved since you filed, or if someone else manages your mail, that notice may have already been sent somewhere you'll never see it. And the response window is 90 days from the date the notice was issued. Miss that window, and the correction process closes permanently. Your benefit stays at the lower amount. The system doesn't send a second notice. Your action right now, call 1-800-772-1213. Verify that your mailing address is current. Ask the representative directly whether your account has been flagged under the July 2026 Earnings Record Review Protocol and whether any correction notice has already been issued. If it has, ask for it to be reissued to your current address and confirm what date your 90-day window starts from. 1 call. It takes 10 minutes. If a notice is already out there, you need to know today, not in 3 months when the window has closed. If you were born in the 1950s, pay close attention to this next part, especially if you ever worked for a state government, a public school system, a municipal agency, or any employer that didn't withhold Social Security taxes from your paycheck. The Social Security Fairness Act eliminated the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset. That's the law that affected people exactly like Dorothy, whose benefit had been reduced for years because of the type of employer she worked for. The SSA has been processing recalculations and retroactive payments for people in this birth generation. For those affected by both provisions, retroactive amounts are averaging between $2,400 and $8,500, depending on how long the reduction was applied and the size of the original benefit. Here's what the July 2026 update added. Before the SSA releases a recalculated payment to someone born in the 1950s, they are now required to verify current direct deposit details directly with the recipient. That verification step is not automatic. The agency doesn't automatically reach out to confirm, which means your retroactive payment may already be calculated and sitting in a queue, waiting on a single confirmation call you didn't know you needed to make. Your action right now. Call 1-800-772-1213. Ask whether your account has a pending WEP or GPO recalculation. Ask whether a retroactive payment has been calculated on your behalf. Ask whether your direct deposit details on file are current and verified. That one call could release thousands of dollars that have been waiting on your confirmation for months. Stay for the next section. If you were born in the 1960s, or if you have a child, sibling, or spouse in that age group, what comes next carries the most permanent consequences of all three groups. If you were born in the 1960s, you're somewhere between 60 and 65 years old. You're either approaching Social Security eligibility for the first time or you filed recently. Your full retirement age is 67. Filing at 62 permanently reduces your benefit by 30%. Waiting until 70 increases it by 24% above your full retirement age amount. For someone whose full retirement age benefit is $2,000 per month, the difference between filing at 62 versus 70 is $1,080 every single month for the rest of their life. Over 20 years, that gap is $259,200. More than half of Americans in this age group file before full retirement age. Most of them never had those numbers laid out in plain terms before they signed the paperwork. The July 2026 regulation changes that, but only going forward. It requires SSA representatives to provide a written comparison of benefit amounts at different claiming ages before processing any new application from someone born in the 1960s. And it added something else: a 30-day reconsideration window for new applicants in this birth generation. If you filed a Social Security application within the last 30 days, you currently have the right to withdraw that application at no cost, reconsider your claiming age, and resubmit later at a higher amount. That window expires exactly 30 days from your application date. This is separate from the standard SSA 521 withdrawal process. It applies specifically to new 1960s filers under the July rule. Your action right now: if you filed in the last 30 days, call 1-8007-721-213 today and ask about the July 2026 new filer reconsideration window. If you haven't filed yet, know your number. 67 is your full retirement age. Every year you wait past 62 permanently increases your monthly check. Subscribe to this channel. SSA regulations are being revised faster in 2026 than at any point in recent memory. When a rule changes, the agency sends one letter to whatever address they have and considers its job done. What this channel does is track every change, break it down by who it actually affects, and get it to you before the deadline passes. The people who subscribe here don't get caught off guard. Share this video with anyone in your life born in the 1940s, 1950s, or 1960s. They're not going to search for this on their own, and every one of these three deadlines has a closing date. Have you checked your SSA account recently? Drop a comment with which decade you're watching from. I want to know which group this reached.